Yo, what's pop shaka locking? Pop shaka locking? What's pop shaka? It is Joy Boy J Man, Scarface J Man, Chief Red Cloud, Jay Santana, Woozy, and we here in Hidden Lotus School. Wow! I know, amazing, motherfucker. So, anyways, this lesson now we get into the nitty gritty. Like a big fat old juicy titty. Ooh, Lord, have mercy. I know. We're getting into some practical applications of magic, okay? Last lesson we spoke about what magic was. So, I'm gonna first kind of touch on this before we get into some practices. But it's important because it ties into this, right? I don't care what the hell you believe in, whether any religion, okay? Any type of spiritual way of being, whatever, okay? Any way of you having this type of belief system, it all derives from animism. And animism is essentially worshiping nature, worshiping what's already here, right? The sun, God, essentially, right? But to segue to the next point, all religions, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, already fucking have magical elements and properties in them because magic is just essentially creation, right? Well, everything has creation. What the heck? So, anyways, to go on with this, right? Like, for example, with Christianity, right? They have the pastor at the what? Altar. Oh, wow. Well, I don't know about y'all, but in the magical sense of witches and warlocks and all this, right? Wizards, sorcerer, you know, whatever the fuck you want to call it, alchemists, they have altars, okay? When they read the book, right? And they have the catching the Holy Ghost, doesn't that sound like possession? Doesn't that sound like flow state? Like, you feel what I'm trying to say? Right? Or whether it's, you know what I'm saying, other religions, you know what I'm saying? Muslims, from Krishna, the Indians, right? They talk about the Buddha, the Bhattacharya, right? Talking about the different crowns, the different ways of dimensions and shit like that. It's all the same shit. It's not nothing separate from one another. They're all a part of the same thing. Okay. I just wanted to make that clear in regards to when we talk about these practices, because these practices go across any culture, any lens. So if you do this, it's not like it's demonized or, you know what I'm saying, no stupid shit like that. It's just you practicing what you already innately are inherently. Okay. If anyone demonizes you from doing it, they're just not wanting you to create. That is simply it. And to be intentional as you create. So anyway, we'll talk lightly here about sex magic. Okay, very lightly. Sex magic is essentially what the fuck I just said, right? It's magic creation of sex, because even in itself, it coming through the sacral chakra, right, which is where your vaginal system is, or men, that's where your penis and all your goddamn nuts and be at, right? But essentially, that's all where creation energy derives from. So sex magic is essentially you utilizing your creation energy, but you're setting intentions while you're doing it. So let's say if you actually, like, you know what I'm saying, you busting down, right? And if you, now, disclaimer, I would prefer that you do this with someone that you actually are aligned with, that you feel that you actually fuck with long term personally. Granted, you can do whatever the hell you want to do though. I just want to make that disclaimer. And you'll explain here in a second why. So, as we talk about here with sex magic, right? So for example, let's say, because there's like I believe it's like tantric sex. I think that's like the word for it. That's like one like methodology for it. But it's like when one person is on top of the other person, and it's like y'all set intentions as y'all are in process of doing the do, right? Okay. And the reason why it's so imperative, because it has 3 levels, right, of like why it's so amplified. Because first off, the sacral chakra is very dense. It's very strong, potent energy. Just from the standpoint of we're on the 3D plane of existence, right? As we see shit, okay? Well, the 3D is more solidified and slower in vibration. That's why you can see shit. Because light, right? Frequency, if you look at the chart, light moves fast as fuck like this, okay? The slower shit moves like this, like how we see shit, is us. This is the 3D. right? 4D, maybe a little bit faster. 5D, really, really, really fast. Okay, 5D is just you being intentional as you create. The fourth dimension is more so like the astral plane and just where all existence is, at least how we understand it. Maybe you have a different understanding, different interpretation. That is all fine. But I'm just giving you our framework and how we're thinking about shit so it makes sense. Okay. So, as you're having your do with someone, the reason why it's imperative of how potent the energy is, important to be able to be aware of in this practice if you do it. Also, this also ties to masturbation as well if you do that. The first level is you're in an aroused state. So your energy is already high, literally from a nervous system standpoint and all through you. Like whenever you feeling good, like you feel that all through your body, like dead ass, right? And that's like your, like I said, nervous system, inner child, ego, right? Also tied into your higher self if you're conscious of you in that state. But that's arousal energy from that state. So that's one. The second is, right, it's coming from the sacral chakra, okay? And that's literally your creation center, right? So you got that shit on a high state than what it usually is, okay? And then the third one is you're doing that, you're in a aroused state with your aroused sacral chakra, and you're doing it with someone else. So it's like double amplified. Literally, right? Now, it's already amplified just you by yourself. That's why I say it also applies to masturbation. But if you are with someone else, that's like a whole nother fucking level, like dead ass. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah. And essentially just doing it when you're inclining these three principles of like high chi. When you create something, first off, whenever you're in that process with someone, you're usually like bonding with them on the spiritual level, like spiritual chords, especially in that sense, because, what I'm saying, you're connecting your portals. That's why, like, all girls will know what the hell I mean when I say this. Girls got first loves because, what I'm saying, and that's why the cultures honor virginity so much. I'm not fucking here to be all woo-woo, oh my God, you need to be a virgin, because that's not the case, okay? Live your damn life. Don't give a fuck. But I'm just giving you the why behind it. They recognize how sacred in regards to how potent that energy is of who you first tied with. So that's why they were trying to guide you to do that. But they did it in a shame-based way. So I don't promote the shame-based aspects. Because even if you do it after the fact, it's the same dynamic, right? It's just you consciously allowing yourself to, do whatever. So anyways, and then the last thing I'll say on that is, before I segue into that, so who you're doing this with also matters because their energy is going to be tied to the shit that you are both creating. So if it's someone that has maybe some energetic blockages and shit, well, you're going to be swapping energy with them because it's sexual energy exchange. So yeah, it may go to the cosmos and y'all both manifesting, but if they have some shit with them that's maybe unresolved, right, or even you, then that can go in your manifestation, right? So say y'all both doing it right before you climax, right? You can either hold it, you don't even gotta release, right? You hold it and have the intention, okay, more prosperity, more money, right? More love. It's like love with the person, right? Whatever. And then also we wanted to say as well too, right? If you do climax, well, that's even, like I said, the release of the energy. Imagine like that chi like shooting up to this, the cosmos. And like I said, you can get creative with it. I'm just giving you some ideas and shit, right? Like I said, I believe it's derived from tantric sex overall, what the practice is called. And then the last thing is with women, y'all period blood. Y'all's period blood is actually some of the most potent energy for making magical potions, because, and I learned this from the witch that was in London and her coven and shit. She was telling me how, because think about it, and especially during a full moon also too. But anyway, when y'all are on y'all cycle, when y'all are having blood, because first off, blood is already like a potent magical aspect in and of itself, period, anyways, even if it ain't from women, men and women both. But period blood especially is heightened because it's coming from your creation center, your sacral, remember, right? And you'll, right, because usually whenever women bleed, right, at least in our understanding of it from what she was telling us, right, she was telling us this shit, and us, me just having sisters, from what she was telling me, apparently, like, especially like I said, you're also in an aroused state. So you're in an aroused state, and it's blood, which is already potent in and of itself, and it's from your sacral chakra, sacred energy. So you make that in a potion, right? Whether it's, you know, like a elixir made with, you know, essential oils or something, some shit like that. Maybe some herbs in there or something. Maybe it's just like some water with some herbs and some oil. However you make a potion, you can get creative with it, like I said. And that kind of segues into potions. Potions, you can make it essentially however you want. It's just a liquid with intention on it. That's it. Granted, you can amplify it based off different herbs or different, you know, maybe speeches or incantations or whatever. They got many, many different practices across many different people. You know, so whatever speaks to you, you know, so you can make your own. That's honestly the most important thing, and have the belief behind it. So yeah. But anywho, we will get into the next one now, right? Like I said, we talked about essentially, you know, the origin of how all religions, in a sense, all have magic in them inherently. How we are inherently magical beings, and working with sex magic, different ways like tantric, right? Have manifestation with it. Masturbation also ties to that. And yeah, I believe that's it. Oh yeah, and then potions as well we spoke about a bit. We talked about how like the period blood can tie into like you making you a potion and shit like that, or even doing some shit on the period, whether you can do that or not, right? Because like I say, it's kind of like a binding. Like I say, it's that high creation energy. But anyways, I'm glad you enjoyed, and then we will get into the next one of the next one. You know what I'm saying?